For years, my family mocked my online venture until I earned $1.2 million and left their darling star stunned at her own graduation bash. I'm Ethan, 31 years old, and if there's one lesson I've learned about family, it's that they'll cheer for you fiercely, unless your achievements make them uneasy. I never followed the conventional path. While my relatives were off at college chasing degrees in law, medicine, or anything that earned them family pride, I was tucked away in my old bedroom, building an e-commerce business from nothing. It started with custom phone cases, then expanded to hoodies. Soon, it exploded. While they were polishing CVs and begging for internships, I was filing taxes for my LLC and overseeing 6 figures in inventory. But to my mom, I was still finding my way. That's how I was introduced at family gatherings and weddings. This is Ethan, he's sorting things out, as if my business didn't exist until some corporate suit validated it. The breaking point came at my cousin Lily's graduation party. She was 23, fresh out of a prestigious university with a degree in global studies, and the family's pride and joy. You know the kind. Student council leader, fluent in 3 languages, volunteers at food banks, and somehow looks like a movie star in every photo. Growing up, I had no beef with her. We were polite, not super tight, but not enemies either. Yet Lily always carried this vibe, like she expected applause after every sentence. Her parents, my Aunt Lisa and Uncle Mark, fed into it. Every tiny milestone got a party, a framed certificate, a group text, and a social media post titled Lily's Big Win. When I got the invite to her graduation party, I knew the drill. A fancy backyard event at their suburban house, complete with fairy lights, Prosecco, and a pricey tent rental. What I didn't expect was the role they'd shove me into. I arrived early to dodge the chaos, only to be greeted by Aunt Lisa waving a bright orange vest like I'd just punched in for a shift. "Ethan, perfect. Can you handle parking? We've got cars lining up down the block." No greeting. No glad you're here. Just a vest, a walkie-talkie, and a pat on the shoulder, like I was some college kid moonlighting as a valet. I stared at her. "I'm not working the party, Lisa. I'm here to celebrate." She chuckled like I'd cracked a joke. "Just help for an hour, okay? You're good with logistics, right? That little online thing you do?" I should have walked away right then. I should have handed back the vest and said no, but some deep-rooted family loyalty made me take it. I spent the first hour and a half directing SUVs onto the lawn and helping older relatives navigate uneven ground with their canes. No one came to relieve me. No one offered me a drink. When I finally sat down at a folding table in the corner, sweaty and covered in dust, the real party was already in full swing. A huge banner stretched across the yard. "Congrats, Lily!" in shimmering gold. A red ribbon draped over the driveway gate, hiding what looked like a brand-new Honda CR-V. Guests mingled around the dessert table, sipping drinks and nibbling appetizers. My mom, seated front row, gave me a half-hearted wave like she'd raised Lily herself. I spotted my name scribbled on a place card tucked behind a decorative plant near the buffet, far from the main tables. Lily was radiant. She wore a cream dress that caught the light with every step, gliding from table to table like she was campaigning for mayor. When someone handed her a microphone, she tapped it theatrically before laughing. "Thanks for being here, everyone," she said, raising her glass. "It's amazing to be surrounded by people who value dedication and real education, especially when it's so easy to get sidetracked by online side gigs." She looked right at me. The pause was deliberate, the jab surgical. And the response? Laughter. Real laughter. My Uncle Mark snorted. My cousin Ryan coughed up his drink. Even my mom gave a strained, embarrassed smile, like she was trying not to laugh, but couldn't resist. Heat crept up my neck. I stared at the condensation dripping down my untouched drink, willing myself to stay calm. Not yet. Lily pressed on, unfazed. Or maybe just bold. "Some of us spent 4 years earning a degree that actually means something. No offense." More chuckles. She clinked glasses with a few nearby guests and handed back the mic like she'd just nailed a sitcom scene. My mom glanced at me, shrugged slightly, and said, "She didn't mean it." Sure, I didn't care about the car. I didn't care about the banner, the speech, or how every photo conveniently cut me out, standing by the fence like some forgotten caterer. What stung was years of quiet dismissals, eye rolls when I tried to explain my work. My own mom would gloss over my updates to gush about which of Lily's professors once advised a senator. But as I sat there, dust on my shoes and a drink in hand, something shifted inside me. I waited until the final toast ended. The applause faded, and people drifted to the dance floor where a speaker blared pop hits. I stood, brushed off my clothes, and strolled to the main table where Lily and her friends were posing for photos by the car, still buzzing from the cheers. "Hey, Lily," I said, loud enough for nearby ears to catch. She froze mid-laugh, clearly not expecting me to speak. "Yeah?" she asked, eyes narrowing. I raised my glass with a grin. Congrats, really? Must feel great to have that degree, and it's awesome your family's got your back like this. I took a long sip. My little online side gig cleared $1.2 million this year. Nice Honda, though. Dead silence. Lily's smile locked in place. Someone behind her dropped a spoon. My uncle's jaw hit the floor. My mom blinked like she couldn't process the words. I didn't stick around for the fallout. I nodded, turned, and walked toward the gate. I heard someone whisper, "Wait, what did he say?" I didn't stay to find out. As I walked down the gravel path to my car, I felt their stares burning into my back. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. I'd said my piece, and I knew that moment would ripple through the party like a stone in calm water. I hadn't planned to speak up. Really, I hadn't. But years of being the family's overlooked footnote, the guy stuck with the short end of every conversation and a long list of favors, had finally piled up. And Lily's smug little dig, that was the final push. When I drove off, no one chased after me. Not yet. By the time I pulled into the driveway of my sleek 3-bedroom house, bought outright last year, my phone was already buzzing. First, a text from my mom. "That was uncalled for, Ethan. You humiliated everyone." Then another. "We'll talk later. Don't make it a big deal." Then Aunt Lisa. "Was that really necessary? Lily worked hard for her degree. You're not the only one with achievements." I didn't reply. I turned off my phone, tossed it on the counter, and let the quiet of my home settle over me. That night, I slept better than I had in months. The aftermath came in waves. Monday morning, I opened my work email to find 3 new interview requests. Apparently, one of Lily's friends had looked up my business post party and was impressed by what we'd built. Built, not stumbled into. That word meant something. A month ago, I might have passed the inquiries to my assistant. Now, I took the calls myself. I wanted people to hear my story. Tuesday evening, my mom showed up at my door. No heads up. Just a doorbell ring, her clutching a plastic container like it was 2006, and I was a broke student needing chili and a pep talk. I opened the door slowly. "Hi," she said too softly. "I brought food." I stepped aside to let her in. She lingered in the entryway, scanning my living room like it was her first time seeing it. The clean lines, local artwork, smart lighting, all screaming success in a way she'd never bothered to notice. "You've done well," she said finally. "Yeah," I said. "I have." She set the container on the counter. "You embarrassed Lily and us. She's crushed." I crossed my arms, leaning on the kitchen island. "Mom, she mocked me in front of everyone. I didn't start it. I ended it." "But $1.2 million? She said it like it was a crime, like saying it aloud would summon the tax man. "It's true." She froze, jaw tight. "Why didn't you tell me?" I laughed, not cruelly. "I did. You just didn't listen. You preferred the version of me who needed fixing. That fit your story. Ethan, the dropout, still figuring it out. You could feel sorry for me. But I stopped needing that a long time ago. They don't seem to care much anyway. Why would they? They have their golden child. My parents were happy focusing on Roman, and I was out of their way. I was fine with that setup. It stung sometimes that they didn't notice I'd moved states away, but the relief of being free from their toxicity outweighed the sadness. Truthfully, I missed the idea of a family. Not my dysfunctional one, but the feeling of having people who genuinely cared. Despite my friends and successes, something felt missing. But until this morning, it seemed impossible to fix. My dad called today, saying Roman was getting married and that I needed to come home a few days early to help with preparations. I was floored. Was my dad really asking me to come back? I'd waited years for this moment, especially when he said I was part of the family and he wanted everyone there for Roman's big day. I got emotional. My parents had never seen me as family. They were all about themselves and Roman. But now, my dad specifically wanted me there. It felt overwhelming to finally be acknowledged. But then I remembered these were the same people who ignored me my whole life. Even now, they didn't know their eldest son lived states away. Did I really want to go back only to be ignored again? That's where I'm stuck. I'd love your advice. What would you do in my shoes? I miss the idea of family, and it'd be amazing to feel cared for, even briefly. But the thought of returning and having my hopes crushed again terrifies me. Should I go to the wedding for the sake of family or stick to my plan of staying far away to protect myself? Before we dive into that, it's been 2 days, and I've had time to think. In the end, I chose my peace. Some of you might not agree, but I decided not to go to Roman's wedding. Honestly, it feels like the right call. Spoiler alert, my parents haven't changed and never will. Let me pick up where I left off. After some reflection, I texted my dad, simply saying I couldn't make it. No long explanations, no excuses. I just wasn't going. I expected a reaction, but I didn't anticipate the manipulation starting so soon. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up with texts. First, my mom tried to guilt me. She asked if I really wanted to miss Roman's big day, if I wanted to be that brother, and how upset Roman would be if I wasn't there. She said it would mean so much to him to have his older brother present. Really? She even pulled the "you only get one family" card. But here's the thing. Roman's big day meant nothing to me. He never cared about any of my milestones, not once. And yeah, you only get one family, but only if they act like one, right? So I told my mom I wasn't coming. When guilt didn't work, my dad tried his own weird tactics. He started calmly, talking about how families stick together for big moments. When I didn't budge, he got nasty. He called and said if I didn't show up, they'd stop paying my tuition. He said they couldn't afford people gossiping about how one of their sons skipped such a big event. It was all about appearances. Not me, not Roman, but how the family looked to others. That's when I snapped. How selfish can someone be? Threatening my education just to force me to a wedding. It was ridiculous, especially since I didn't even need their money. I told my dad, go ahead, cut me off. I'm not coming, and no threat will change that. I still didn't tell them I'd graduated a year ago, was living states away, and had a six-figure salary. I didn't want them knowing how well I was doing or where I was. They'd ruin it. I know I need to tell them the truth soon, and I will. But for now, I was enjoying this. My refusal to attend, despite my dad's threats, infuriated him. He ranted about how ungrateful I was, how I'd always been a problem, and how he'd pull my name from the local college to teach me a lesson. He said it like it was a massive blow, as if being removed from a school I never attended would ruin me. He had no clue the truth was the opposite. I couldn't stop laughing. I could have told him I never went to the local college, but where's the fun in that? So now I'm waiting for him to try pulling my name from a school I was never enrolled in. I can't wait for his reaction when he realizes I don't need him or his money. It's going to be a shock. I'm sure another round of angry calls is coming soon. I'm ready. I'll keep you updated on what happens. Until then, take care. Hey, it's Jonas again. I know it's only been a day, but the drama in my life has gotten crazier. After my last update, I had a hunch my dad would take my refusal seriously. I was right. It started with a call from him this morning, and he was livid. He demanded to know where I'd been and what I'd done with the money he sent for college. It was like watching a kid throw a fit over not getting his way. Apparently, after our last talk, he went to the local college to pull my name, just to teach me a lesson. He thought cutting me off would force me to attend Roman's wedding. He was so wrong. When he got there, he got a massive shock. The college had no record of me. It must have been quite a scene. My dad, standing there trying to cancel a registration for a student who didn't exist. I bet it hit him like a punch. During our call, his anger over the embarrassment was clear. He wanted answers about where I'd been and what I did with his money. The situation was so absurd I couldn't stop laughing. After some back and forth and more yelling from him, I decided to come clean. I told him I graduated a year ago on a scholarship and his money had been helpful. Then I dropped the bigger bombshell. I was making a six-figure salary, more than him. When he asked if I was joking, I could hear his disbelief. Realizing I wasn't the struggling student he thought, but a successful, independent man, must have been tough for him to process. I was ready for what came next. As soon as he processed it, he exploded, accusing me of betraying them by keeping it a secret. He rambled about how much he'd done for me, only to face this betrayal. Done for me. Was he talking about ignoring me for years to focus on their favorite kid? Then he said the most absurd thing. The only way he'd forgive me was if I attended Roman's wedding to avoid family gossip or scandal. I couldn't believe it. He was still obsessed with appearances. I don't know why he's suddenly so concerned about the family's image. It never mattered before. I told him I didn't need his forgiveness and wasn't playing their game of pretending we're a happy family. He kept pushing, sounding desperate, but I stood firm. I said there was no way I'd attend the wedding of the guy who ruined my childhood. I also told him I was done with their drama and cutting them off. My dad was stunned, but I wasn't quiet anymore. I'd spent my childhood silently taking it, but no more. I told him I didn't want contact with any of them and that they could have their golden son's wedding without me while I lived my life. He tried emotional manipulation again, saying I was his son and needed to be there. But I was done. I told him they only had one son, the one they cared about, and they could keep it that way. I didn't give him a chance to respond. I hung up and blocked his number. That's where I am now, officially free from my toxic family. It's bittersweet. I never thought it'd come to this. But I'm also relieved because it had to happen. Now I can live peacefully. If all goes well, maybe I'll start my own family someday. It's been over a month since I cut contact, I thought I was done with their drama and manipulation, but they couldn't let it go. A few days ago, I got a call from an unknown number. It was my mom crying hysterically. I'd blocked their numbers, so I was surprised. I didn't hang up right away thinking something terrible had happened, but it wasn't that. She said she missed me and just wanted her son back. She claimed she didn't care about what I or Dad did. She just wanted me in the family again. I was confused. Where was this energy before? When I said I was cutting them off, they didn't care. Now she wanted to reconcile? It felt off. So I told her I'd call back and hung up. Something didn't sit right, so I called my aunt, my mom's sister, to get answers. What she told me was wild and confirmed my suspicions. Apparently, Roman's wedding was a total disaster, a complete mess. His perfect fiancée turned out to be a scam artist. Before the wedding, she convinced Roman, my parents, and some relatives to invest all their savings in a shady, once-in-a-lifetime deal. It was a fraud. She took the money and vanished. No wedding, no fiancé, and no savings. But it gets worse. My aunt said my parents were in deeper trouble than I thought. My dad caused a scene with an employee and their family, leading to a huge loss for his failing business. Then it clicked. That's why he was so desperate for me to attend the wedding. He wanted to save face by showing off his perfect family. But that plan crashed. The fiancé fiasco just added to the bad press. To top it off, they used their house as collateral for a loan to save the business. But that failed too. Now they're about to lose their home and are living in a rundown trailer or tiny apartment because it's all they can afford. It all made sense. My mom didn't call because she missed me. They needed me. They knew I was doing well and saw me as their safety net. I wasn't falling for it. They never cared about me when they were busy catering to Roman. But here's the kicker. My parents are now fighting with Roman, blaming him for the wedding disaster and their financial ruin. It's almost funny. The golden child they revolved their lives around ruined everything. I won't lie. It felt good to hear they were finally seeing their mistakes. But I don't care. I'm staying out of it. After my mom's call, I blocked her again. I wasn't letting her manipulate me. Did that stop them? Nope. They were desperate and wouldn't give up. My parents showed up at my house. I don't know how they got my address, probably by harassing old friends. The how doesn't matter. What matters is they showed up, preaching about family values and how, as their eldest son, I was their responsibility, and now they were mine. I slammed the door in their faces. They begged, saying they were broke and used their last money to fly to me. Tough luck, but I wasn't helping. It didn't end there. A few days later, Roman showed up, practically in tears, begging for help. He said he missed having his big brother. What big brother? All I remember is him bullying me. I warned him to leave, but he kept pleading, saying Mom and Dad were about to cut him off because they blamed him for their mess. It didn't work. Roman got the same treatment. I slammed the door and told him if any of them came back, I'd call the police. I haven't heard from them since, and I don't care. I'm done with this toxic family. It's sad it came to this. The void they left will always be there. But I'm ready to move on and build a better life.